коня. We're back. Another Monday evening, which means it's round number 2 of the World GT Championship Season 11 here on RaceSpotTV. And after one of the most exciting endurance races of this championship's history at Daytona International Raceway, we head back in time and come to an old friend of ours, the home of British motorsport, Silverstone, for this second round. And it's delightful to say, hello, my name is Paul Smith, and fresh from his jaunts out in Florida, Pete Mackay. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks. It's always good to be back as well, and here at the historic Silverstone as well, before the changes were made back in 2010. I'm excited to see how the drivers get on with this one. And also I noticed the Abbey National sponsorship branding. My mum worked for Abbey National many moons ago as well, so that's a bit of a throwback.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about plenty of stuff to do with this historic version of Silverstone. If we look at the way the schedule all pans out, then, so it was, as I say, Daytona International Raceway last week, and then Silverstone this week for 2 40-minute feature races with a mandatory pit stop. Next week, we head to Interlagos for the first of our sprint races. We then have a week off before it's Mount Panorama, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and the Hungaroring, Sebring, Circuit de la Sarthe, Mosport, Watkins Glen, Hockenheim and the Red Bull Ring to finish off this championship. And well, it is a championship. We're only one round in, so you can only really read so much into championship standings, but it was a tremendous display up at the front last week, wasn't it, Peter, between Luke McEwen and Josh Thompson.
Oh, it was. It was just first-class motor racing, and Luke McEwen came from quite deep in the pack and from a difficult qualifying, and just looked to have that little bit extra in the pocket when he needed it. Only the ever so slightest edge. Josh Thompson threw everything at it. He could not have done any more, and he had a good start in hindsight to the championship, and he's right there in the hunt. But look who's lingering in third, our defending champion, Ross McFarlane. He's never far away, is he, Paul?
Absolutely not. Luke getting his first win in the championship last time out. Your Pro-Am standings, which we'll see next, you can see there it's Hutchison and Crouch, both Revo SR, out there at the front of the field, 10 points separating them. Mike Horder for Boosted Virage then are just 2 points further back there, with Paul Webster further 5 points back from them. So quite close in the Pro-Am. Good to see a debut win for the Evo SR driver, and really good start to the championship. But again, as we say, early stages of this championship means you can only read so much into these standings.
Absolutely, but it's those who have got the points on the board are certainly feeling more pleased with themselves than those lingering down at the bottom of the order. We've got such a, as always here in the World GT Championship, we've got such a competitive field that if you can't afford to have too many tough days at the office, because our championship campaign can soon unravel.
And in your AM Championship, well, I mean, you look at this, you cannot get much tighter than that. 4 points separating the top 4 there, and it's Jack Osborne who leads this one for Century Sim Racing, Jim Whitehouse for Century Sim Esports, second place, Lars van Rijn, third for Boosted Sim Sport, Makalek, one of our new drivers from the Audi Sport Slovakia Spark LLM team, they are in 4th place. So really good to see such a close competitive AM championship, and this will continue throughout the championship.
Absolutely, we had brilliant battles in each class, and that's the great thing about the World GT Championship. We've got a huge grid of cars, well over 50 cars in this championship as well, split into 3 separate classes based on their ability and their credentials. And well, it's everyone. There's a class to fight for all of our drivers as well. And yeah, can't wait to see what we can do in race 2 in a very different format.
Absolutely. Just quickly touch on the team's championship as well, because it's the Was Cooking by 3M team. They are leading it by 3 points ahead of Pure Sims Esports, with German Sim Racing.de by ACV in third. In your Pro-Am standing, Century Sim Racing lead that one by not 9 points, Paul. What are you talking about? By 7 points over Immortal in the Pro-Am Teams Championships there. So, yeah, we've only got a few seconds before we start looking at the grid. But, Peter, this historic layout of Silverstone, it's a fast one because we're not using any of the chicanes. So not the Abbey chicane involved in this one, or the club chicane. So it's a really fast sweeping circuit. I mean, what's going to be key round here?
Well, the setup, I think, is vital to getting that compromise just right, to just get those last little few hundredths of lap time out of the cars. I would expect the Lamborghinis to be pretty strong here as well. They've got great balance, great corner speed as well, and very, very corners, very, very flat as well as the Lamborghini. I would think they will be very much a factor.
Okay, well, we are going to be... Oh, actually, I'm just looking at this. I think here, yep, we do have a full pace lap here. So that means we've got plenty of time to go through our grid here. So, pole position, look at that. The man who finished 3rd place last time out, Ross McFarlane, he is on pole position. Alongside him on that front row, Leandro Anderuti, who will be hoping for a much better result than last time out. Alex Nella, great performance from him in the 2nd row of the grid with Luke McEwen, our race 1 winner last time out. Josh Thompson and Jack Sedgwick round out row number 3. Row 4 then, it's Marvin Leesmolen with Michael Avdoka there. Row number 5, Adam Volkovich and Mike Horder, the top Pro-Am driver, in 10th place. Adam State in 11th, and then Christian Malcharek in 12th place, your top Am driver. What a qualifying performance from him. Christian Rose and James Crouch share row number 7. Alongside then behind them is Ashley Finch and Chris van der Ness. Ben Gregory and Adam Watson round out row number 9. Row 10, it is Pete Harrod, former champion Pete Harrod, and Simon Field. Lee Berridge and James Whitehouse, and all Am row number 11, with row 12 Andy Archer and Mark Hutchinson. Row 13 then is Bradley Hulse and Lewis Ward, with Paul Webster, Lars van Rijn on row number 14. Row 15 is Brian Curran and Jack Osborne. 16th row of the grid is shared by Chris Wood and Jack Belton. Adam Hedgecock and Matt Bunn then on the next row of the grid with Rhys Saunders and Jonathan Walker. Matt Woodhouse and Martin de Jong on row number 19, with row 20 shared by Tony Draper and Simon Nella. Kevin Kettleman and Loki Brown is the next row of the grid, with Eric Haag, Craig Jones, and Philip Elsner, Michael Blake. Blake will be disappointed with that qualifying. David Michael Nichols and John Roberts then. And still we go. Brendan Stacey and Robert Lundgren on row 25. Row 26 is your own Kaiser and Toby Ward, with Nathan Healy and Tim Perry is the first of the drivers got a qualifying ban. And there's the other one, Nicholas Salaputis, qualifying ban for incidents in race number 1 of the championship. And, well, the drivers are going away. It's a full pace lap here. It's not too often that we actually get a full pace lap on the service here, Peter. So it gives the drivers plenty of time to just get a little bit of heat into those brakes and tyres.
That it does, yes. Of course, these GT3 machines do have the benefit of traction control and anti-lock braking systems. However, that little bit of extra tyre temperature will be really, really welcome. Some of the more modern circuits, or certainly the more recently scanned circuits on the iRacing simulator, they often have a very, very short, it's not a pace lap, it's usually a quarter of a lap in a lot of those circumstances. So the drivers will have plenty of time to get up to temperature, and we should see some very hot lap times straight away.
Certainly will. Drivers just take it nice and easy around here at the start of this lap. And really, it is going to be, do you want to be at the front of the field here, Peter? Because this circuit, okay, we haven't got the high banking of Daytona like we did last week, but it's still a really, really fast track where slipstream can count.
Yes, I think so. I would certainly, I think Ross McFarlane, our pole sitter, is in just the right place, and alongside Leandro Anderuti. I think, yeah, you want to be out the front and avoid any potential carnage in the opening stages, because the pack is just so bunched up.
Right then, so we're looking at the front of the field. Ross McFarlane, Leandro Andaluti, and well, it was an impressive debut to the series from Leandro last time out, and okay, he'll be a little bit disappointed not getting a win last time, but very, very strong performance from him, and he seems to have adapted to himself to this series. Now, you pointed out, Peter, a little bit of a different format this week. 2 races, 2 40-minute races, but we have got an inverted grid for race 2. It's how those newcomers deal with those inverted grids.
It is, and that's the key, I think, to the championship in every single class in the World GT Championship. It's not necessarily how you do in race 1 when the grid is set by qualifying pace, and therefore the fastest guys usually start at the front. In those reverse grid races, that's where patience and real racecraft comes into it. That's why this is such a comprehensive championship and so prestigious to win.
Well, the drivers are heading around Luffield behind the iRacing Porsche 911 Cup car, pace car. That pace car will turn off to the right over the grass there, and it's now Ross McFarlane who leads the field. He's holding them for a long time. Now gets on the throttle. Good launch from Ross at the front of your field. The Scotsman away at the front. Leandro Andaluti slots in behind him, but I'll tell you what, Alex Naylor is looking very busy in towards Copse Corner for the first time. This is going to be one of the points where you can potentially get an incident through here. Certain Hamilton and Verstappen will tell you that on lap 1, but the get through cleanly does the field. Now down into the famous Maggots, Beckett's, and then Chapel section of the track. We have lost Adam Volkovich. Oh, Matt Bunn is having an incident out there as well. He's off the track. Track stays clear though. There's no track blockage, so we stay green flag racing.
Yes, of course, here in the World GT Championship, if we do get a track blockage, there is the opportunity for the safety car to be called and the field bunched back up again for a restart, but no such problem as Ross McFarlane leads the way then for Pure Sims Lamborghini, the defending champion, with the number 1 plate on the side of that Bologna Bullet. But Leandro Andaluti right behind in the identically powered 5.2 litre V10 Audi R8, and Andaluti continuing to impress in his debut in the World GT Championship. Was very quick at Daytona last week. Strategy-wise didn't work out for him, but he definitely had the 1 lap pace to compete. There's Luke McEwen in the blue and gold Logitech Altus Esports car. Oh, Naylor's off.
Now, is that cold tyres and just losing it on the downshift? Naylor's looking for a safe spot to come out, and there's been further incidents. That's Matt Hutchinson, your Pro-Am Championship leader. Cars are getting around him. We're staying green flag racing then for the time being, but that's a big moment for your Pro-Am Championship leader, Hutchinson. Meanwhile, Naylor, he'll be ruining that. As I say, it may be cold tyres, lap 1, maybe snatching down gears too quickly, locking the rears. That could have been a possibility, or of course there is the possibility of there being a little bit of a touch into Brooklands. Fighting all the way through the field. Andy Archer there, 15th place, not 15th, 19th place should I say. Your top AM driver, no he's not, he's your second place AM driver, because Chris Malcherek is in first place in AMs, doing very good, whereas Andy, who's in a position here down the inside, that's going to be Lewis Ward going past him, so change of position. Brad Hulse is there as well, and Hulse going very defensive into club.
Oof, yeah, that was the door slammed straight in the nose there of Andy Archer's Ferrari. But that's a pity there for Alex Naylor in at the start of the field there. I think you're absolutely spot on, Paul, that I think it was just snicking 1 gear too early. Oh, off they go. Bradley Hulse has been taken with Andy Archer in the white and red Team 11 Ferrari. They both somehow rejoin without contact or any more contact, but oh, that was just a little bit too over ambitious there from both.
Yeah, Bridge Corner on lap number 2 of a 40-minute race isn't normally an obvious overtaking spot, but Andy went for it. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out for them. Fortunately for Hulse and for, I think it was actually Lewis Ward that actually made that contact. It was Lewis Ward. those two, I mean, Bradley Hulse has ended up in 20th place, pretty much where he was anyway. So, oh, big accident into the wall on the exit of Copse. That's Tony Draper.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So the number 23, Tony Draper, hard into the wall, and quite a few casualties early on, having to go to pit lane, and Matt Bunn has retired. So Matt Bunn, after that early incident, and that's strange, Paul, because I didn't see on our replay Matt actually taking a great deal of damage. So I wonder what's afoot there.
All sorts of things could be afoot there.
Maybe he's decided that he's forgot to order his new pair of free sim racing gloves and using our discount code.
Potentially, or he could even be getting onto the Coach Dave Academy and getting himself some new setups. Here we are, Alex Neller on board, and also Envision as well behind the wheel. And it's great that we're bringing you these pictures. Oh, now Neller's trying to work his way through. Remember, he qualified in 4th place. Had a stomping start, but as I say, that mistake at Brooklands on lap number 1, he's trying to work his way back through here.
Of course, we've got Alex Naylor taking part now. Last we had Simon Naylor, Alex's father. Indeed, yes, he's here this week. He's in the 777 car, so a father and son operation here at Shea Naylor. But number 67, Alex Naylor. Oh, a little bit of oversteer, a little bit of counter steer there, coming down towards Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. And you can tell he's doing his best concentration face there, Paul. But I wonder if his spotter said, "Now, don't stick your tongue out here, because you are live on RaceSpotTV."
Yeah, that's it. You want to look as good as you possibly can on the cameras, but it's great that the drivers are giving us an insight into what they're going through, and it shows everybody at home that it's, as you pointed out last week, Peter, it's not just you pressing some buttons and using a control pad. You're there with a wheel and pedals, and you're doing the actions that the real world you'd be taking in a car as well.
Absolutely. And if you look at somebody, how many real world drivers have we seen take the sim incredibly seriously? You look at something like Daniel Juncadella, a Mercedes factory GT driver, Max Verstappen, the reigning Formula One world champion, who actively take part in racing at the top level here on the iRacing simulator, much of which is broadcasted here on RaceSpotTV. And these types of people, Paul, they don't have the time to mess about playing games. It's serious stuff for them. They clearly feel that it's an extra part to their armoury as a driver.
I do remember Ash Sutton, who used to take part in the series, and I remember him saying once that it kept him sharp, it kept him in sort of race shape in terms of his racecraft, and he said the sim, even driving against people, relatively quote-unquote normal job people who do this for a hobby, the sim racing, it really helped him with his professional driving. Forget about that, though, because we've got a very keen Leandro Andaruti at the front of the field, trying to put the pressure on Ross McFarlane.
Yeah, and Andaruti's got to be quite clever about this as well, because if he makes the move, he's got to make it clean and precise, and he's got to then get the foot down straight away, because if there's any kind of hold up at all, Luke McEwen right there at the back is shot in the blue and orange, blue and sort of goldy orange Lamborghini there for Logitech Altus Esports. He will be on top of this pair. Last time around, McEwen was 0.2 of a second quicker than McFarlane and 1/10 of a second quicker than Andaruti, and I think this lap he may be getting even closer still. In fact, you can visibly see how the gap is coming down. So the gap now 0.7 of a second between Andaruti and McEwen. So getting towards the draft range.
Yeah, I want to keep up to date with everything happening here tonight. RaceSpot.tv/timing. And the link is there in the YouTube chat. So make sure you check out the timing screen if we're not actually showing your favourite out there on track at the moment. So we are looking at the front of the field. We have had a number of drivers down on pit road. So Reece Saunders is one. Adam Volkovich, who we saw on lap 1, Adam State, Craig Jones, Tony Draper, Jack Osborne and John Roberts. Now, they all are back out on track. However, Matt Bunn, as you mentioned earlier, has retired from the race. So 54 cars of the 54 that started still circulating around here. And I do think that the traffic won't be an issue. Here we go. Here's a look at what happened at the start of the race, Peter.
So Adam State, that's so unfortunate. Just takes one tyre width onto the grass and drills one of the German sim racing Audis, I think it was. That would have been
Volkovich, I think.
I think you're right, who was completely oblivious. And that would have actually caught him quite by surprise. Now, what happened to Brian Crone? Well, he gets nerfed is what happens to Brian Crone. And oh dear, and that's then the melee piles in behind him. But poor old Brian Crone, nothing he could have done there.
Yeah, that was a sort of innocent party there. Now, here's what happened. This is the one I want to see. Is it Nella all on his own? And I would have to say, yes.
Yes, it is. I think you called it spot on, Paul, with the just clicking down one gear too low, the revs going too high, and the rear wheels locking, sending her around. Now, what happened to Hutchison, our winner, of course, in the Pro-Am class at Daytona a week ago, gets drilled from behind. Now, is that the 777 or the 77 boosted Lamborghini?
I think it was the 777 because Alex Nella was around, remember? Just in front of them. This is what happened to Draper getting into the runoff. And do you know what? That's not as hard a contact as I thought it would have been.
Well, that's curtains for Tony Draper. Lockie Brown, what's happened to the Australian driver? Oh, just gets it a little bit too... Takes some bites off a little bit more than he can chew there at Cops. And very stylish though.
Yeah.
Top marks.
Yeah, the Russian judge gives a 6.1 for that one. Craig Jones in his...
You mean the Russian Olympic the Russian Athlete Federation? What is going on there?
He was helped off
that
there,
was
and that's
really
John Roberts.
silly.
Yeah, that's John Roberts in some party and all of that. So Craig Jones, and that's Abbey. And a car avoiding him, returning. And is that who I think it was? It was indeed Lockie Brown. So not only did he have the incident at Cop's Corner, he also avoiding the returning SCCR car. And is this going to be 2 in a row? Not quite held the 360.
And he's broadside across the circuit and still gets away with it. 9 lives. Lockie 9 lives Brown. Buy the merchandise from freem.co.uk coming. Oh my goodness.
That was incredibly close. And look at how close the others. Incredible driving from the others and the awareness to avoid him. But my goodness. He needs to buy some lottery tickets, I think, after that.
Oh, matron. That was close. That was so close. Well, Lockie Brown, yeah, I would say go and put on a lottery ticket, an accumulator, whatever you can, because it's the luck is in. So the battle at the front then rages on. Andretti hasn't been able to find a way around Ross McFarlane, and while that's been going on, Luke McEwen has just chipped away relentlessly at the gap. It's only 0.4 of a second now back from the Audi of Andretti to the Lamborghini, the number 6 car of Luke McEwen, and McEwen just relentless in these early stages.
And look behind, look who's made some moves. Josh Thompson has moved ahead of Jack Sedgwick. The BMW, I mean, it's not having a good outing in the real world, but right here on the sim, in the hands of Josh Thompson, I mean, we saw how... Okay, that's maybe taking track limits a little bit too far there, Josh. Come on, rein it in a little. But, yeah, Josh last week was so impressive in that BMW. He was shaking his head by the end, just the traffic not going his way. But certainly, he has got that car dialed in, hasn't he?
He does, yes, absolutely. A young Manxman, he's a properly good driver. I was thinking if we could cue the Jaws music. Do you think they have sharks near the Isle of Man? I bet they do, actually. Yeah. So maybe he's like a Manx shark. Well,
from the Isle of Man to Italy, Andretti,
better than a kipper.
Second place. The thing is, whilst he's sat in second place, he's getting fuel saving because it's a mandated pit stop. The cars are fuel limited, so the fuel limit is 50% of the fuel tank. So you're only talking about half an hour in these GT3 cars. So you're going to be having to make a fuel stop, and if you can sit there in the slipstream, I mean, look, Luke McEwen right behind as well. You can see him in the mirror, in fact, he's that close. They're both getting fuel savings here, and this could help them in that pit stop cycle.
Well, Leandro Andaruti getting to football manager levels of chewing gum ferocity there. But no wonder when it's in such an intense battle. I mean, the lap times here, so close. Always less than a tenth of a second or less separating this top three. So it's McFarlane, the ever cool, the smooth operator himself, Ross McFarlane, and Leandro Andaruti in second in the Audi, and Luke McEwen in the Logitech Altus Esports Lamborghini. So it seems like the mid-engine cars really looking good in this Silverstone layout, albeit Josh Thompson the first of the BMWs in fourth, the first Porsche Adam Watson all the way back in ninth. It's not been a good start to the season in 2022 in World GT for the Porsche 911.
Do you know what, I remember just when you were saying about the football manager level of chewing gum, there was a rugby league coach called by the name of Brian Noble, and he took a senior position at the Bradford Bulls, and he started chewing gum not long after he took up the role. And somebody asked him, why is it you suddenly started chewing gum? And he said, because my dentist bill was getting too much, I was biting through my fillings. So it's a way of dealing with stress, that's for sure. It certainly helps some people, and Leandro, either he's got stress or he's a bit of the dry mouth. He's using that just to help keep himself comfortable.
Yeah, whatever
McEwen.
You can do. Oh, great move up the inside there for Luke McEwen. So opportunist down into Stowe. Now, can he make it stick as they head down towards Vale and Club? Oh, yes, he can. And of course, look at that. What's happened there is that's allowed Josh Thompson and the BMW to get onto the scene, and indeed has allowed Ross McFarlane to just get a couple of vital tenths of a second. 16 minutes into this race, 24 to go. Brilliant stuff. Plenty fast protagonists at the front, and not far behind, just at the back of shot, there he is, Jack Sedgwick in the menacing Ferrari.
So the front two of McFarlane and Andaruti, they got a bit of a breakaway, but they have been brought and reined back in by McEwen, Thompson and Sedgwick, as you quite rightly point out there. We are coming up towards the halfway point of this first race of the evening. It is McFarlane, McEwen and Andaruti, your top pros. Your top pro-ams, by the way, Mike Horder in 8th place. Good position for him, with James Crouch in 11th for 2nd place pro-am, and the 3rd place pro-am is Christian Rose in 13th. Your am drivers, this is where there's the big shock, is Chris McAltrick, Malkarek, my goodness, I'll get my teeth in eventually at some point. He's in 10th place at the moment, your top am. Your next am driver is Lee Berridge down in 17th, and Andy Archer in 19th.
Well, there is quite a spread of drivers across all the classes. Great to see so many of you watching here on RaceSpotTV. Thanks for giving us your comments in the RaceSpotTV chat. Hello to Posk, who says, I go to the Bradford Bulls, or I went to the Bradford Bulls Odsal Stadium to see the stock cars, which is a world away from this. Have you been to the stock cars?
I've not been to the stock cars, but they did return in 2021. They used to have Speedway at Odsal Stadium as well back in the day. In fact, it held the Speedway World Cup back in 1986 at Odsal Stadium. So, and they even have a shale track there as well. So it's proper old school style of stock car racing they have there. They would love to see Speedway return there, but for the time being, it's just your stock cars for the time being around that venue.
Very cool, very cool. That's very impressive knowledge. Funny enough, we're talking about chewing gum. Leandro Andaruti in 3rd, chewing away furiously. Do you know another very successful sports car driver who always had chewing gum in? Hurley Haywood, 5-time winner of the Daytona 24. He always chewed gum in the car. It helped him. I mean, I don't know if the science matches up, but he said it helped him with not having a thirst in the car.
Well, Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It can work for people. That's the thing. Different people have different things that help them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I always remember David Coulthard had his lucky pair of underpants until he had an accident where they cut him out of his race suit, and basically the paramedic that was there got an eyeful, as he said. But there you go. Racing drivers are a superstitious bunch, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
But,
John McGuinness, the most successful current TT rider, he's second in the all-time wins list to Joey Dunlop. He drops a lucky penny down his leathers.
Okay, you see, Ashley Finch, by the way, moving up a position to 11th ahead of James Crouch that you just saw on screen. We have lost Lewis Ward, and he has actually left the server as well, so he's obviously had an incident out there, which means that he's out. So we've lost a number of cars, actually. We're down to 49 still rotating around this venue as we reach the halfway point of the race. So they're just dropping like flies at the moment around here. This old school Silverstone, it's not like the redesign. It's not quite got as much asphalt runoff, has it? It's a little bit more unforgiving.
Quite right. Yes, good point, Paul. And also the drivers won't drive on it very often. The preparation between the first round at Daytona 7 days ago to now will be really, really important, and those who haven't been able to get the preparation done will be paying for it right now, because this is a proper driver's circuit, and if you're not right up to the limit, right up to speed, you will get found out, and we have seen that quite a bit. To ride on board with the number 88. Now it's the Lamborghini machine of Jonathan Walker. Now this is Jonathan Walker will not be happy with this particular Silverstone layout, because they don't have the Johnny Walker bridge. The bridge we're about to go underneath now on the Hangar Straight, that's normally the Johnny Walker Whiskey. Now Rob Walker, now get this one, Rob Walker, who of course was one of Sterling Moss's greatest sponsors and supporters. Walker, he's the same, that's where his money came from. He was part of the Johnny Walker Whiskey dynasty.
Well, Jonathan Walker makes his way past your own Kaiser, and at the front of the field, a change of position, or is it? Luke McEwen, he's gone the long way around Luffield, but that'll get you the power earlier, and it'll give him the drag then through Woodcote, side by side with Ross McFarlane and McEwen. He's not wanting to sit back and save some fuel. He's wanting to go to the front of the field, and Josh Thompson heads onto pit road. So just after the halfway point, the pit stop cycles are starting. We're going to change of leader.
What a move there from Luke McEwen. It's almost as if he's just been holding that grenade in his pocket and then finally thought, right, enough's enough, pulls the pin and chucks it in. Brilliant stuff there from the championship leader. But Josh Thompson coming in earlier than these three. Let's see if that works. If Josh can get a bit of clean air compared to the others, that could vault him into this fight for the lead as well. Now, we've been reliably informed by one of our spotters that Leandro Anduruti, in the middle of this battle, has been doing a very typical Italian hand gesture, and we all know what it is. The middle finger and the index finger pinched together with the thumb and furious waving.
Of course, we all know with this version of Silverstone for the famous Scottish gesture of the middle finger, explaining that they're going for first place. Nathan Healy and Nick Salaputis, I believe, have had an incident out there. Oh no, they're just on pit road at the moment. There was a yellow flag up on my track map down at the Vale and Club. They've got back up and running now. But yeah, crucial for Josh Thompson to hope that he's got some space out there. The problem is, when you take an early pit stop like he has, he's come out in a bit of traffic, I do feel. Looking at the timing screen, he's about 2 seconds behind Paul Webster. And please don't take any offence to this, Paul. Josh is a little bit quicker.
Well, Paul Webster, of course, running in the Pro-Am class. So, yes, absolutely. And then the three cars ahead are in the Am class. So, yeah, Josh Thompson, he will really be hoping that the cars in front of him, Paul Webster, Lars van Rijn, Andy Archer and Lee Berridge, that they come into pit lane. Simon Field in front of him has come into pit lane in the Pro-Am class, the 26 car, BMW. So yeah, Josh Thompson will be hoping that they kind of see parts in front of him here. Otherwise, this strategy might not work. But you've got to try things. When he did come into pit lane, oh my word. Yeah, Josh, he's pushing.
He's making liberal use of the track limits, as I said earlier. And,
you love that, don't you, Paul? You love that opportunism.
Oh, please don't start with that. What I can tell you is that for this race, you get a drive-through penalty for every 20 incident points that you receive. So, yeah, he's got to be careful with that, hasn't he? Because one little contact with something and with somebody, and you rack up 4 instant points. You do that a few times, and all of a sudden you're in the pits.
Hello to Tim Fulbrook from the Racing blog. He says old Silverstone better than new Silverstone. Let us know in the chat which you prefer. It's very much personal preference. They're both superb layouts, I think. But Tim also got some wisdom for us, Paul, on chewing gum. Apparently it can help with your revision for exams. As long as you chew the same flavour when you're studying and you chew the same flavour during the exam, apparently it all comes rushing back to you. So there's another little trick.
I wish I'd have known that when I was doing my GCSEs 22 years ago.
All I would have remembered was what copy of Autosport I had inside my folder when I was supposed to be studying.
Ben Gregory, 3 Spies Motorsport, onto pit road. So yeah, we are very much in that pit stop window now. And he's going to be stopping. You're looking at around about 10 seconds for this stop, because you only need about sort of 10 minutes or so worth of fuel to finish off this race. The front 3, they've made a little bit of a breakaway from Jack Sedgwick. So Sedgwick just not able to keep pace with McEwen, McFarlane and Anderutti here right now. We are waiting for those drivers to head on to pit road for their pit stops. Liz Millman in 5th place has got Michael Abdoka with him for company. And then you've got a battle between Mike Porter and Adam Watson for 7th and 8th places at the moment. So once the pit stop cycle sort of finishes itself out, we'll get you a rundown of where people stand. Toby Ward, thank you very much for letting us know. Lost his internet. That's a little bit difficult when you're trying to race over the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing that you just cannot avoid. Is Ross McFarlane, championship leader, the pole sitter, comes into pit lane in the Pure Sims Lamborghini. It will just be a quick splash of fuel and back into the race again. McEwen and Anderutti and Sedgwick, curiously, they all continue. So is this going to be a strategical masterpiece for Ross McFarlane? He pulls up to the first pit stall. Just a quick splash and go, and he'll be back running again.
Now here's Thompson in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. He's coming round. Now McFarlane, there's the pit exit cone, so he can get going on the loud pedal very quickly. But Thompson's coming round at speed. He's almost losing control through the exit of Copse Corner, and McFarlane stays ahead of Thompson for the time being. So only about a half a second between the two of them. So Thompson's plan nearly worked there, Peter.
I think it's definitely gained Thompson. Certainly, I think it's gained about 4 or 5 tenths during that pit cycle, which might sound small, but in the context of this race, it's been so tightly matched on the timesheets between these cars. What has Luke McEwen got up his sleeve was on that car will now be on very low fuel as well, so it will really be coming alive. The tyres will still be well in shape as well, and Luke McEwen asking a lot of questions here of Leandro Anderutti.
And he's got that traffic in front of him as well. Is this a time to just dive in before you get tangled up with them? Or if they pit, do you stay out? He's coming in. There's your answer.
And Anderutti carries on. So Anderutti going for a slightly different strategy. We saw this at Daytona, Paul, 7 days ago, where Anderutti went a little bit off sequence to everyone else. It didn't work at Daytona for the unique nature of that track with the slipstream. It might work here at Silverstone.
You've got McEwen, Sedgwick, Lismelman, also on pit road, Adam Watson, Ashley Finch, Christian Rose. So we've got a little bit of a pit party going on there. They're getting away. 10 seconds. Here's McFarlane, 11th place. He's coming into Copse Corner as McEwen comes out of the pit lane and he's going to be ahead of Ross. Only just though. So it's still really close between those two drivers. Now what's Anderuti going to do here? He's only got about 30 seconds between them, and including the pit stop time and cone to cone. I can tell you that Luke McEwen was 32.3 seconds cone to cone in the pit road. That's not including the slow down and speed up, although you do cut a little bit on the inside of Cops Corner. It's
going to be very tight, but at the moment it's looking good for Luke McEwen, who's now about just hovering around a second of advantage to Ross McFarlane. So what can Anderuti do? He's really got to push this Audi R8 LMS GT3 to its limit here, trying to extract some really hot pace. And it'll only be about 10 minutes, and indeed Anderuti comes to pit road. So when he comes out, it'll be about 10 minutes of the race to go. So very much a sprint to the flag, but McEwen approaching now, Paul. This is going to be tight.
It is. I think McEwen may just have the edge here. We'll have to wait and see though. Anderuti on pit road, as to is Michael Avdoka, James Crouch as well, and Pete Harrod. The final pit stops going on. There's McEwen through Woodcut Corner, across the line, starting up a lap. There goes Anderuti. And do you know what? He may just have him here. It's going to be tight on pit exit. McEwen's there. There you see Anderuti. And Anderuti has got the lead, but only just here. And he's got to be careful because Luke is at speed already.
Well, Anderuti in the lane, 31.4 seconds. So gained a second in the lane over McEwen, but spent 1.4 seconds less in the fuel in the box in getting fuel. So what that could mean is that Anderuti's just been a little bit more light-footed with McFarlane behind him, and McEwen goes straight for it, knowing that he's got to try and unsettle the Italian driver. So here comes Luke McEwen side by side on the exit of Stowe, and Anderuti defends very well there, Paul.
It's Audi, Lamborghini, and a little bit further back, BMW and Ferrari. Great combination of cars and manufacturers. Anderuti, McEwen going the inside of bridge. He can't make that move. He's going to have the outside though for Priory. Anderuti, he's got to be careful of the cutback here into Brooklands. Holds on to the place for the time being, but he's coming under intense pressure. And Ross McFarlane now, I mean, what do you do if you're Ross? You've got 8.5 minutes remaining in this race. You've got these two battling away like crazy. Do you sit back, let each other take each other out, or do you start going for the fight as well?
Oh, well, the one thing about Ross McFarlane, he's won this championship on consistency and being clever in situations like these as well, and not taking silly risks when you don't need to as well. That's really been the mark of his championship in 2021. But how will he approach things in 2022, the year in the World GT Championship? You've got to think that he'll be feeling very cool and calm under pressure, and no doubt he'll have his 3M sim racing gloves on. No sweaty palms with those.
Absolutely. Well, we said we were going to give you a quick little bit of a rundown. So it is Leandro Anderuti who leads this one ahead of Luke McEwen. Ross McFarlane in third place. That's the top three in Pro-Am. It's Mike Horner who leads that one in ninth place ahead of James Crouch and Christian Rose, who are 10th and 11th place respectively. In your AM standings, things have changed in AM. So it's now Lee Berridge who leads that one in 16th place ahead of Chris Malcherak. Now Chris was the leader for a while in AM. He's now lost that position, and Andy Archer, third place in AM. They are 16th, 17th and 18th respectively. So your three class leaders and the three top threes in class are all together out there on track. So they're all having fun times. Anderuti has lap traffic in front of him.
And McEwen, I think, is going to try and use this opportunity to pounce, and there he goes. Oh, it's a throwback. Oh, it's a throwback to Verstappen. and Hamilton there coming through Copse, but the difference is they get through flying so close together like fighter pilots, but just getting through without contact. Brilliant stuff there from both Anderuti to defend, and also McEwen for having a go there but doing it safely. But wow, exciting stuff.
This is brilliant stuff. This is fantastic. McFarlane now, he's getting a double slipstream here. Is he going to look? McEwen's looking defensive here as well as attacking on Anderuti, looking to the inside of Stur. Not making the move as of yet. But my goodness, this is starting to pick up. And who's rocking up behind them, by the way? Josh Thompson. He's never far away. He's only about a second half, 2 seconds back from this battle. If these start really fighting amongst themselves, then he can really come in and steal a victory here.
Yes, and looking for every opportunity now is McEwen, and they do touch a little bit of a rub there as well. McEwen shows the nose, Anderuti shuts the door in the black and red Audi. So McEwen's going to have to try again in that blue and orange Logitech Altus Esports Lamborghini, and all the while Ross McFarlane just stalking. Another bit of contact there again from McEwen. You mentioned incident points, Paul. Of course, here in the iRacing Simulator, if you step over track limits, that's 1 incident point. If you have a spin, it's 2. If you hit the wall, it's 2. But if you hit another car or are hit by another car, you usually get 4 incident points. So with 20 for the race, Luke McEwen will have to be careful here.
I mean, the little taps that he's doing there, that will just come up as a 0 incident. A little bit of a warning. There's contact between the two of them, and they're both off. Anderuti, McEwen's caught up in that one as well. Anderuti's the worst one off. McEwen somehow has kept the lead here. McFarlane now, he's got a tremendous opportunity, and Josh Thompson has said that he could benefit from all of this. Well, here we go. Here's your race leaders, side by side. McFarlane sniffs a victory here.
Oh, look at Ross McFarlane. This is just classic McFarlane here, just waiting for that opportunity to happen. Some might have got impatient thinking it's never going to happen, but McEwen, very aggressive there, shuts the door hard. McFarlane sees it coming and goes for the cutback now on the run down. Oh my word. Brilliant motor racing here, but that was McFarlane thinking about it. As they head now down towards Bridge in the older section of the track, and decides, I just need to be very careful about where I pick my moment here. McEwen definitely in a feisty mood. You can see the damage incurred there on the front right of the car. That's not going to help in the straight line speed, Paul, but are we too late in the race for any of course it's all post-race penalties, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Every penalty is post-race, so I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that. Leandro Anderuti is still running, is in 7th place now from that. McEwen feeling the need and feeling the pressure to go and break the slipstream there. Josh Thompson, the most laid-back man in terms of seating position in all of sim racing. Maybe not when he actually races, but he certainly is laid back in his seating position. Look at how close he gets here through Maggott, Beckett. That BMW really working well for him through that fast change of direction. McFarlane, though, he's putting the pressure on. McEwen's got to be careful now. He can't go weaving down the straight.
No, and he will already have the very distinct attention of the stewards when they do their review of the race tape. So Thompson sniffs an opportunity here as well. The reason why, as Josh kindly revealed to us last week, the reason why he has such a reclined seating position, it's designed to mimic how you would sit in a single-seater racing car, a little bit more flat, your feet more stretched out as well on the pedals, and that's where he kind of feels most comfortable. It's the kind of opposite of the Francois Delacour set up as side by side into Bridge. McEwen has to go very defensive. Ross McFarlane just trying to force the mistake, and all the while Thompson just getting closer and closer and closer here. This is a thrilling battle for the win here in the opening race here at Silverstone in round 2 of the World GT Championship.
Well, we're past the 2-minute warning of this race, and depending on when they cross the line, here's the replay of what happened. It only takes the slightest of contact through Maggott and Beckett, because you are so on the limit there, and that's all it took to spin Anderuti around. Now, I don't know we might be very close to there being an extra lap here. As Luke McEwen crossed the line 38 minutes 18 seconds. So with them doing 37:38 at 1 minute 38, there should really be one more lap after this one. And with damage to his front, as you mentioned, Peter, he'll be affected by top speed. Lap traffic, they don't want any part of this race, and who can blame them?
That was very clever there from Luke McEwen, using that lap traffic just to use a little bit of slipstream, and that helped him just gain a few critical miles per hour extra top speed there to maintain the position from Ross McFarlane in second in the white and blue Pure Sims machine. Now that McEwen appears to be just sort of recovering after being bristled by that contact with Anderuti, you have to say, Paul, although yes, down in 7th position, not quite where he was before, of course, but that could have been a heck of a lot worse for the Italian. And of course, with our reverse grid, we'll see how that shakes out. He's got the feature race coming up, race 2.
Ross McFarlane carries so much more speed on the exit of Club through Abbey. He just doesn't really have the position to make the move. 13 seconds remain in this race. We're going to come across the line, and we should start the final lap of the race across the line there. So yes, it's one more lap here that Luke McEwen has to contend with. This is Ross McFarlane's last opportunity. We've seen Josh Thompson go out there, lose a little bit of ground. He got a little bit of a wiggle on there. McFarlane, though, not quite close enough to make that one count.
Now, this is interesting because we've gone into this is as much overtime as we could possibly get. We've gone that extra lap on the race. It was very, very close whether that would work out. Now, in terms of fuel, for McEwen, for McFarlane and for Thompson, they're almost identical. They took on pretty much the same amount of fuel. So if they're all if one of them's okay, they'll all be okay. The big question mark is Anderuti. He took about a second and a half less of fuel. So Anderuti, he might have to be really soft pedaling here as well. And indeed, he's dropped back to 8th.
Oh, he's fighting with Adam Watson, I can tell you. You can see that on our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, as in fact Abe Durka has dropped down a number of positions. He's had issues, but never mind that. Here's the battle for the lead. McFarlane, I said he's been quicker through Abbey. Can he hold it around the outside of Bridge? It's a brave move if he can make it, mate. And yes, he does. He's got the inside for Priory. He's got the inside for Brooklands. Can he do this? McEwen is trying to hold that outside line. Thompson can sniff the inside of Luffield here now. Get on the power. He's holding that inside line. McEwen's going to win this one for Logitech GL to C Sports in controversial manner. Ross McFarlane flashing the headlights. He's going to be second, and Josh Thompson across the line in 3rd place. My goodness, less than half a second covering the top 3 across the line. You want close action? You've got it here on Monday night. Here's James Crouch coming across the line. He's going to be your top Pro-Am driver. Oh, no, he's not. It's Mike Horder who's your top Pro-Am driver in 7th place. Crouch and Rose in 2nd and 3rd place. Lee Berridge, though, this is your top Am driver coming across the line. 15th place for Lee. He is absolutely delighted with that one. Take a breath, Peter, because less than 0.4 of a second between your front 3.
This is the World GT Championship, powered by 3M and Coach Dave Academy. Fantastic motorsport there. And like you say, the top 3 covered. You could throw a blanket over those 3 leading cars. Ross McFarlane pushed Luke McEwen hard, but just couldn't quite get the move done, and did well actually to keep Josh Thompson at bay in 3rd in the BMW feature race. Well, what is the spinny wheel going to have for us to set this reverse grid, Paul? Oh, ho, ho.
Well, we have to wait and see. We've still got a couple of cars just coming across the line to finish off our finishing results here. But Hugo will press the button to start our spinning wheel. The first time we've seen it this season here in the World GT. This is to decide which position will be inverted onto pole position. It slows down, and unfortunately for us now, Peter, we no longer need to guess which is the number that it stops in. It now tells us the little cross there means The cross means that there's no reverse grid. This is slowing down. Oh, come on, just tick over. Come on, tick over. Let's have a full one, please.
Jackpot.
Oh, we are getting it. We are going to get... Let's wait for it to stop, because it'll give us a little yellow panel, or it should do at least. But that is a full reverse grid for us. So, I'm just trying to read my rule book quickly as to see it will lead lap drivers, I do believe. So you're talking all the way down to 49th place. We'll give you those official results momentarily here, but 49th. Well, if ever there was a test of the drivers to see how they're going to cope with the reverse grid, well, that's the ultimate test. But here's your unofficial race results. McEwen for Logitech GL Altus Esports wins that one by 0.1 of a second over the PSM's Esports Ross McFarlane. Josh Thompson and Jack Cedric were the next two for the Was Kicking by 3M team. Marvin Lesmerland for the German sim racing.de by ACV finishes in 5th ahead of Adam Watson for Team Mad. Mike Horder, the top of your Pro-Ams for Boosted Virage, in 7th place ahead of the hard done by Leandro Anderotti. He'll be absolutely gutted by that one. Michael Abdoka 9th ahead of the 2nd place Pro-Am driver James Crouch for Evo SR. Christian Rose for PSM SimLab in 11th place and 3rd place in Pro-Am ahead of Pete Harrod, Simon Field and Ben Gregory. Lee Berridge for Boosted Simsport, your top AM driver, beating out Christian Malsharek in the Audi Sport Slovakia Spark LLM car. Alex Nella, Paul Webster and Andy Archer for the Century Sim Racing team, the 3rd placed of your AM drivers in 19th, with Lars van Rijn in 20th. 21st for Bradley Hull, served of Eric Haag, Jonathan Walker, Tim Perry, Matt Woodhouse, Chris Van Der Ness, Michael Blake, Mark Hutchinson. Oh, he'll be disappointed with that race. Chris Wood down there in 29th, National Finch. Another one that will be disappointed down in 30th place. 31st for Felix Elsner with Euron Kaiser, Simon Nella, Reece Saunders, James Whitehouse, Adam Volkovich, Kevin Kittleman, Adam Nathan Healy, Adam State and Nick Salaputis. Robert Lundgren, Brendan Stacey, Jack Osborne and Jack Belton. Craig Jones, John Roberts, Brian Kern, I would say actually one of the luckiest people here at this circuit in 47th. Martin de Jong and Tony Draper, if I do read my real book right, that it's one lap down, would be on pole position for Century Sim Esports. Lewis Ward did not finish, along with the others that did not finish. Adam Hedgecock, Toby Ward, Lockie Brown, David Michael Nichols and Matthew Bunn on lap number 1. Well, Peter, we didn't expect to get it so early on in the championship, but the first spinning wheel of the season, we get a full reverse grid.
What do you say? I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, first of all, we get treated with a real pure on-track dogfight based on grid set by qualifying positions and just slugfest, tiny gaps in time between those top drivers, and in the end Luke McEwen came out on top. But this is going to be a whole new challenge entirely. It's going to be a little bit like one of those challenges on Gran Turismo or Forza when you had to like cut through cars that are much slower than you, had to kind of pick off 50 of them in a minute or something like that. It's not going to be quite so easy for those drivers, and actually how the strategy plays out in this context is going to be even more important. We didn't see a great deal of disparity in strategy, maybe a few laps either way, but with a huge bunch of cars to get through, this is where a little bit of strategical poker might go on between those drivers that finished on the podium in the first race.
Eric Haag asking if we can spin the wheel again. I don't know why he's asking that, because he's going to be starting further up towards the front of the field. But there's been quite a few new drivers to the championship this season. This is their first challenge, really, of this reverse grid. I mean, we didn't expect a full reverse grid, that's for sure. It's those that, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, it's those that can be patient, take the opportunity when they come, and not get involved in silly incidents that will pay off massively in the championship.
That's right, and you mentioned here at this older layout at Silverstone, if you get it wrong, the walls are much closer. You know, it's the older version for a reason, and I think that's going to be very, very important. Also, being smart to what class you're in as well, being huge, having a good spotter who says, look, you've got somebody behind you who's in the pro class, you're in the AM class. Don't slow yourself up by trying to stop them, because they will go by you anyway. You're better just keeping your own pace up and hitting the lap times you need to hit. I think that's really important, as well as how you interact with those classes around you.
And for the opening round of Season 8, which was the first season that we showed of the series here on RaceSpotTV, we did the reverse grid. It was one of our 3 sprint races events that we had here for the opening round all those seasons ago, and we had a spinning wheel, and Chris Byram, who was at the time an AM driver, got put on pole position both times. It can be quite intimidating for those drivers who are maybe of an AM category to suddenly find themselves from being midfield or further back to being right at the head of the field, setting the pace on that pace lap.
Well, I know it's a bit naff for a commentator to use an example of their own racing, but forgive me on this one. I took part in the Scottish Motor Racing Club Esports Cup, which was great fun, of course, held at Knockhill, recently brought onto the service here on iRacing. And by some form of miracle, I happened to be in the right place at the right time in the first 2 races, which put me on pole for the feature. And honestly, it was like I was driving a tractor, because I mean, it is diesel, the VW Jetta, but because not because of handling or anything like that, because there was a queue of about 20 cars snarling behind me, and I managed to hold on to the lead for the first couple of laps, but that was my error, because the drivers behind, who were much faster, eventually lost patience and just dumped me off. So you have to be careful for stuff like that, because the top class cars, they're so intense that you can sometimes you can be in the way, and they will move you out of the way, and that's you don't want to take that risk.
You certainly don't.
Not that they should be doing that, of course. I'm not condoning it. I want to make that clear.
Well, if they did, then the stewards would have a look at that. It's worth pointing out that with this series, we did mention during that race, they do have stewards. They look at everything post-event. So we'll have these 2 races, and any penalties that are applied will be applied for the next race, and also to the championship standings as well. So you do end up losing championship points if you do get found guilty of incidents. So it's not just getting, say, a qualifying ban, which we saw for Nick Salaputis and for Toby Ward, I believe it was, for this round. But you also get that massive knock of championship points, and when you're someone like Luke McEwen, who's fighting for a championship overall, even 20 points lost is a massive thing when it's so tight and so competitive.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it makes such a difference. And of course, going into next week, we've got a sprint round coming up, and if you get a qualifying ban in the sprint round, you're in a world of pain when you've got to get through 50 cars in a sprint round. That's okay, it might come back to you over the course of the night, but that's not the endurance race, not so bad, because you can work your way through quietly, but in a sprint race you do not want to start at the back. Absolutely not.
So you are watching the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Paul Smith, Peter Mackay here on commentary. Of course, this series is brought to you as always by 3M, and of course we had a new sponsor join this season, which is Coach Dave Academy. So great to have them along to support the championship and to continue to see this championship grow, because even in the you joined the series last season, Peter. This season, these opening rounds just seem to have been a big step up in performance, I feel.
I was just thinking that during that first race. I'm going, goodness me, we're having a right belter to the start to the season, but you're already starting at a very high base, and yeah, the ante has definitely been upped at the front again. But I think it shows the class of field that we have of a lot of the long-standing drivers in the championship, like a Ross McFarlane, for example, who's saying, "Oh, is that okay? That's the new drivers turn up," and he goes, "Oh, that's the level. Okay, yeah, I've got more in the locker if I need it." And Josh Thompson's another one. You know, he's been a part of the championship for a while, and he again, he can step up his game as and when required, and it's brilliant. I always think it's a great storyline, and it's a great narrative to have seasoned pros of the series and then new upstarts who come in and just shake the pack up a little bit. That's great for our point of view.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I remember when we had the Williams team turn up with Marina Sirica and Alex Arana, along with Josh Thompson, and Sirica and Arana and Thompson were just in a world of their own in terms of pace. Sirica ended up winning the championship, which, when you think that he's going to be racing in this season's Porsche Tagore Esports Super Cup, that tells you the level of driver. And I think a lot of drivers saw that level and went, right, I need to up my game here. And this is why you see in this season, yeah, Luke McEwen, he's no slouch. You know, Logitech GLTC Sports do not sign somebody of his ilk just by accident. He's worked hard to get to that point. But then you have someone like, as you say, Ross McFarlane, last season's champion, is a multiple champion in this championship. He knows what it takes to win a championship in this series, and he's shown it time and again. So McEwen, he's got that challenge now, starting right towards the rear of this reverse grid, and we're just in the warm-up at the moment, so we've got about 4 minutes before we go to the grid of this race. But McEwen, he's got a lot of work. He's got the pace. He's just got to get those moves done and done cleanly to really have a great evening here.
That he does, yeah. He certainly showed the most aggression, and not in such a bad way. Of course, we did see a little bit of an incident, but he's the aggression and the decisiveness. That's a better word. Very decisive in his moves, and when he goes for a move, it's all in, and that can be really helpful in those early stages when everyone's on cold tires or coldish tires, and you're working your way through. That decisiveness from Luke McEwen could be a real asset to get a gap between himself and McFarlane and Thompson.
Now, we've talked a lot about the front of the field here, but it's worth pointing out, Boosted, what a day it's been for them after the first race. They've got a Pro-Am winner in Mike Horder in that Boosted Virage car, and Lee Berridge, what a story for him. 15th place to start with, but getting the win in AM as well. To be that far up as an AM driver and getting a win in a competitive field like that, that's a really good turn of pace, and he was there when it counted.
It's those gold wheels. That's the winner. No, a superb drive there from Lee Berridge, because it's to get that far up the field in a field of 55 starters. I think we had 54 finishers. Top 15 in the AM class, and of course that gives you a huge haul of points in the context of the AM championship standings as well. So yeah, really brilliant stuff from Lee Berridge, and that will put, well, of course, that he'll be going, the one time I get up in the top 15 and then there's a full reverse grid. It's sod's law, isn't it? But a great start to the night, and the main thing is there's no point hanging back to get points later. You put the points on the board at every opportunity you get.
Well, there is our race 1 winner on pit road, Luke McEwen. Car repaired. He'll be ready to go there in that beautifully adorned Logitech GLTC Esports car. We've got about a minute and a half before this first race, so there was a little bit of bumping and bashing on lap 1 in race 1 in that mid-pack. Nothing huge, nothing majorly huge, but still big enough to bring a few cars onto pit road. You've got that full reverse. We're going to keep on mentioning it because it's absolutely astounding that that's happened on the first opportunity of a reverse grid. But if you're one of those pro drivers who will finish in the top 3 of the first race, you can't afford to get involved in an incident where there's multiple cars involved in the crash.
That's a good point, Paul. Yeah, that's where the drivers are going to have to be really eyes up, because we saw a number of cars getting taken out of the race really by no fault of their own, and they were completely innocent parties. So you've got to be really on it to be ready in case anything happened ahead of you, and being able to react to it as best you can. But we've seen it plenty of times where you can be taken along in the tsunami of cars and taken out of the game. So it'll be nervous stuff in the opening laps for our top drivers.
Yeah, certainly the little bit of a warm-up time is counting down here, and the drivers have got quite a warm track out there to contend with. So 35 degrees track temperature for them. Will be able to give you all the conditions of the runners and the riders in just a moment's time, because warm-up is going to be over, and we're going to have a look at that starting grid for race number 2 of the evening. And it is going to be Tony Draper, who is on pole position. The AM driver for Century Sim Esports, pole position ahead of Martin, alongside him Martin de Jong from the Parabellum Racing team. Brian Kroon, one of the luckiest people out there from race 1, is in 3rd place for Indy Autosport Red. Alongside him, John Roberts for Boosted Motorsport. Craig Jones, SCCR Sim Sports, alongside him. Jack Belton from the Audi Sport Slovakia Spark LLM team. Jack Osborne then next car on row number 4, ahead alongside him is Brendan Stacey, with Robert Lundgren and Nicholas Salaputis on row number 5. Adam States for Satellite Racing, he got involved in that opening lap shenanigans last race. He's in 11th ahead. Alongside him is Nathan Healy. Then it's Kevin Kittleman and Adam Volkovich. Volkovich is a good shout for potentially getting a good result here after getting involved in lap 1 incident. James Whitehouse, Reece Saunders with Simon Neller and Jeroen Kaiser. Then Felix Elsner, Ashler Finch for Pure Sim Lab, Chris Wood, Mark Hutchinson, Michael Blake and Chris van der Ness. Then Matt Woodhouse, Tim Perry, Jonathan Walker, we've seen him, Mr. Freeham himself in his Freeham t-shirt, not wearing the gloves though, so I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Eric Haag, who was asking for a redraw, he's in 28th ahead of Bradley Hulse and Lars van Rijn. Next row of the grid, Andy Archer with Paul Webster, Alex Neller and Christian Malsharek. Lee Berridge, our AM winner from race number 1, 35th, with Ben Gregory alongside him. Simon Field and Pete Harrod then next row. Row number 20 is Christian Rose and James Crouch, with Michael Evdoka and Leandro Anderuti 42nd. Mike Horder, our Pro-Am winner from race number 1 in 43rd. He'll be not liking that reverse grid at all. Adam Watson with Marvin Lesmoorman and Jack Sedgwick with Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane 47th, 48th. There you go. Race 1 winner, Luke McEwen, 49th on the grid, with Adam Hedgecock, Toby Ward, Lockie Brown and David Michael Nichols. We've got 2 cars missing from this second race grid. That is your full 53 drivers, and there you see 9 of your drivers who have kindly given us a little bit of a glimpse behind the scenes for us here, Peter, and the different setups, the different how people are. I have to say, I like the wood flooring on Adam Hedgecock's view. And is that a fish tank behind him, or is that a TV screen?
Oh, that's like that picture of that dress. Where it's like, do you see it as blue or do you see it as gold? We're hearing that it's a fish tank. That's very cool.
That's a very nice sim setup, is that?
Lord Hedges' lair.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a little bit of a look behind the scenes of the drivers as they're going around on their warm-up lap. And Peter, I want a prediction from you. Race number 2 here. Not so much a race winner. What do you think will happen here?
You've caught me on the hop, Paul. I think we're going to see a really intriguing motor race, and we could see our first little hints of who may be an early favourite for the World GT Championship, because as we say so many times, these races, the reverse grid races, these are what make champions, not the first races.
Well, Lorenzo Bonda in our chat is praying towards whatever deity that he goes and prays to. Hopefully this goes nice and swimmingly, but the man at the front of the field who's controlling this one is of course Tony Draper, pole position for the Century Sim Esports driver, and he's got that car of Martin de Jong alongside him Through Luffield they go. You've got to be careful not to go too early, although he's gone. That's it. We're underway here for race number 2 of the evening in the World GT Championship. Green flag in the air. Across the line they go towards turn number 1, Copse Corner. Will we get through safely? We'll be able to see if anything happens. And into the wall, De Jong. I think that's just cold tyres, and somebody's followed him off there as well. I think that's James Whitehouse.
I think it's triggered a few cars.
Yeah, through into Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. Will we be able to see everybody go through here nice and clean? Well, so far, so good here. John Roberts getting swamped. One by his teammate on his right. Another by the Team Superior car on the left-hand side. That's the 189 of Robert Lundgren. They actually, all three are teammates, and there's contact between the three of them. My goodness, and Robert Lundgren is the one who ends up in the wall.
Yeah, all the sort of Constantina together there with those 3 BMWs, and it turned into a Bavarian sandwich, and well, it didn't come off very well at all there. So very fast braking zone there down into Stowe, so you've got to be super careful, but a little bit of moving across on the brakes, never a good recipe there as well. So opportunity for those drivers, leading drivers from race 1, to make some early passes here as they begin to progress through the field. And whoa, oh, from hero to zero for Lee Berridge, and-class winner in race 1, and it's gone to pot.
I think that was possibly Christian Rose that he collected there as well. Innocent party in all of that. But we've made it to the end of lap 1, and Josh Thompson's around. Oh. That's big. That is very big in the context of this race and of those that started further back. And Thompson kicking the cun onto track. We've got a car off in the background. That's Felix Elsner, who's gone off at Copse Corner. Well, we've got excitement happening, but you know what? The majority of cars have been instant free on lap 1. Christian Rose onto pit road.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a few takers for pit road after the little bit of shenanigans in lap 1, but nevertheless, M-Class driver Tony Draper leads for Century Sim Racing with the red and black, the beautiful red and black Indy Autosport Porsche of Brian Crone. In the Pro-Am class, Martin de Jong, it was not de Jong who had that crash earlier on, it was one of the other Lamborghinis.
Yeah,
not
it was.
quite
Sorry,
sure who it
mistake.
Was. So Martin de Jong in third, Jack Osborne fourth. The first of the pro drivers is the 64 Audi of Adam State.
Yes, Adam State, you are absolutely right. Me doubting myself there for a second, but yeah, Adam State in 6th place. Adam Volkovich has just moved up into 8th place, so he's making moves. We're on board with Paul Webster. This man, he does stream on Twitch. We'd prefer you to stick around and watch our coverage of tonight's proceedings, but Paul, of course, involved in the manufacturing process of the Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula 1 team. I think I got that name right. I can't remember for sure, but yeah, he's been busy working, building the brand new W13 for the team. So he's certainly pulling the long hours and finding the time to also get onto the sim and do a little bit of racing here in the World GT Championship.
How exciting is that? What does that car look like? That's what, of course, it won't be long before reveal season in the Formula 1 World Championship, and these completely new cars, new regulations set for them. And yeah, like you say, I'm sure that is burning the midnight oil at the moment in Brackley, in Motorsport Valley in Northamptonshire in England. Now, Michael Avdoka, McFarlane's teammate there, so same livery. So head down it. Oh, that's so unlucky. Oh, Avdoka just went to turn in, and the 46 Audi there was basically there in his path. Chris Malczarek.
Yeah.
Now we need to not. We, of course, there's going to be a 46 Audi in GT World Challenge this year with a certain V Rossi Esquire on board.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's great to have Valentino, you should join the World GT Championship, I think. Oh, we've got I can tell you, there's a car suddenly stopped on my timing screen. Last one, Ryan, I think, has had an issue out there in towards Bridge. Looking at Brendan Stacey, who does need to sort out his number board, actually, does Brendan. So get on the paint options and sort out your number board there as they come around, as we've got a car around, and that's Chris Malcharek. He's got damage to the front left. Now, is that from the contact with Michael Evdoka, or is there further contact here?
Not sure. Well, we might see some more early takers for pit roads, but you need to make sure you can get home without having to stop again. So maybe some drivers doing the minimum amount of laps that they can, nurse the damage, make it to the pit stop, and if needed, get some repairs and get back going again. So Adam State, the fastest lap of the race at the moment in the 64 BMW. So looking good at the moment for him.
It certainly is. I will point out, Luke McEwen, he's currently in 30th place right now after starting 49th. Nathan Healy stopped out on track. I think that's where he is. Oh, wow. That's a big accident. Exit a Stowe corner. There's a year one car involved in that one. There's the boosted Virage car has just gone and lost it in sympathy. And well, big incident. Nathan Healy and that Mercedes is going to take a tour back to the pits.
Yeah, absolutely destroyed that Mercedes AMG GT3. So big wreck there, a number of cars involved, and good news if you're fans of any of our championship or our protagonists from the podium from race 1, because that again clears the path a little bit for them. I don't think any of them were involved. McEwen now all of a sudden up to 23rd. So it feels like about 20 seconds ago you said he was in 30th, Paul.
Yeah, it was. There's a little bit of a mistake then from Draper running wide. You don't need to ask Krohn twice, but Krohn. Oh, Draper across the grass zone to his Krohn. Oh, be careful of the rejoin, lads. De Jong's trying to get past, and Osborne, he's getting excited in all of this. This is a slow down penalty, and behind Adam State, he's coming through now, and there's 4 wide down the hanger straight. Well, who is it? It's Brian Krohn who's in the lead of this one. Second place now is Jack Belton, and Adam State from 6th place up to 3rd in the sequence of 4 corners.
That was absolutely chaotic there coming through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, but somehow the drivers all get through without causing another big pile-up. Of course, we had a big pile-up there in the World Touring Car Series round 1 when we came here to Silverstone.
Yeah, I'd rather not bring that up.
Oh, you were involved. Sorry, Paul, I completely forgot actually that you were an innocent victim of that particular plane crash.
Anyway, as I have PTSD flashbacks, these drivers at the front, so it is Brian Krohn, Pro-Am in the lead now, Jack Belton and Am in second place, and Adam State a Pro. I said look out for State, didn't I? When we were going through the grid, he's going to be a good shout for a win. But Adam Volkovich on the back of this queue, 7th place. If it wasn't for an incident in that first race, then my goodness, he was certainly going to be up there with the front pack. But right now, he's got an opportunity, a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic opportunity, and it shows you here in the World GT Championship, if you do have a difficult race 1, you do have at least a chance to try and recover something from your night, and likewise if it doesn't go so well in race 2, you've already got some points on the board anyway. But this is why the drivers that we'll see in contention for the championship at the end of the season, they will be those who have had the least amount of incidents. It's impossible to, it's very difficult to win race 1 and then come all the way through the field and win race 2. It's very rare for that to happen. So it's more about maximising the opportunity in the front of you. As Luke McEwen, now things are starting to even out a little bit. He's in 22nd, so the progress has just steadied a little bit, and he's got Jack Sedgwick for company. There he is. Oh, the menacing prancing horse Ferrari of Jack Sedgwick there, who's right in the wheel tracks of Luke McEwen as they come down through bridge. Wonderful corner this, big commitment. You've got a bit of room to let it breathe on the outside there, and hard.
Kaiser. That's your own Kaiser in the wall. You can always tell by his very, very distinctive green wheels. Yeah, don't Austin Powers it, your own. That's it. Get on the throttle and away he goes. Returns to the track safely. Yeah, McEwen, he was side by side there with Eric Haag, and him and Sedgwick managed to make their way past. So at the moment, McEwen is up 29. That's right, 29 positions in this race, and is about to make that 30 spots as around the inside of the number 8 of Craig Jones. Jones loses a position, Luke gains a position. That's up to 19th after starting 49th in this race for Luke. It's Paul Smith here alongside me, fresh from his flight back from Florida, just specifically for this broadcast here. We know you love the World GT, but we didn't expect you to lead for the Rolex 24 early for it. But Peter Mackay joining us here on commentary as well here on RaceSpotTV. And my goodness, what a motor race we've got for you here.
That we do, and now we're into the pit window of where any driver could come in now and be fueled up to the end of the race. No takers just yet, certainly not at the sharp end of the field. But Brian Crone driving very, very well, but holding off Jack Belton in that red, yellow and black Audi R8. Great to see the return of the Audi R8. It went through a little period for most of 2021 where it really was not the preferred car in GT3, but it's nice to have it back. But crazy actually, Paul, we didn't have any of these cars in the Rolex 24 at Daytona at all.
Yeah, it was. It's a real surprise when you think how good that Audi has been over the years. That Audi R8, it's certainly been a good one, and I'm always amazed as well. It's not the Audi, but the Mercedes. Just how many Mercedes are actually out racing in the world in GT3? That's certainly. Oh, now we've got a number of takers for pit stops on my timing screen, and you can keep up to date yourself. RaceSpot.tv/timing. Ross McFarlane is one of those. Josh Thompson that you're seeing on the screen. Les Moorman is in there as well. Lee Berridge, Michael Evdoka, Alex Neller, Mark Hutchinson, and James Whitehouse as well. All onto pit road. You said it's the start of the pit window, and the thing is, they're going to come out into some nice, clean air here.
Oh, this is a little bit of Triple Eight Holden strategy, where you feel like thinking, oh, this is very early in the race, and it just comes back to them as well. Now, what has happened here? This is Brian Crone in the red and black Porsche here. This is a replay of, I think, how he reclaimed the lead. Yes. Ignore what's on the roof of that Lamborghini. Oh, they all did so well not to end up in a huge pile-up. Oh, brilliant eyes-up driving from all. That's World GT there for me, Paul, because most other times that would have just ended up in a complete domino effect.
That would have been an aircraft accident, wouldn't it? That one. That is for sure. And the person who benefited the most was, of course, Jack Belton out of all of that. Saw all the chaos happening in front of him and said, right, oh, there's a gap there. I'll go for that one. Take the position as Rhys Saunders then in towards turn number 1. Rhys, the year 1 driver. Oh, there's a bit of a wide line there. And that's going to be Jack Osborne. Just running wide, off track, back on track now. Mike Horder, Simon Field, James Crouch, Michael Blake are the latest ones onto pit road. So taking advantage of the opportunity to get a splash of fuel to get themselves to the end of the race. But really, right now, looking at our standings, Adam Watson has gained 28 positions, and Jack Belton is finding himself, he's switching positions. You see them side by side there, Brian Crone and Belton to the inside of the Vale, and State is going to follow him through. The satellite driver has made himself in second place, and Jack Belton up to the head of your field.
Great opportunity stuff there from Jack Belton, but very it might look a real bad switch of things there for Brian Crone in the red and black Indy Autosport Porsche, but actually played that one really, really smart. Adam State in the blue BMW is in the Pro Class Crone is in the Pro-Am. And in fact, Jack Belton is in the Am class. So we've got an Am driver leading here in the feature race in the World GT Championship from Silverstone. Fantastic. But Crone played that one super clever. He didn't force it too hard, and he's still there right in the hunt and living to fight another day. Very clever stuff there from Brian Crone.
Yeah, this is tremendous to see as Reece Saunders now heads on to the pit road. So it's Audi, BMW, Porsche. My goodness, what a front three combination that is. German 1, 2 and 3 with the Lamborghini in 4th place. Here's how that move happened then. It started down the hanger straight here. Didn't get finished for quite a wee while there, Peter.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Belton just set it up perfectly, put it up the inside, and Crone had no opportunity. Just when he was about to turn in, there was a big Audi on the inside. So Adam State no longer has the fastest lap of the race. That is, surprise, surprise, championship leader Luke McEwen. He's now up to 16th place, just 12.8 seconds back from this leading battle, as Michael Evdoka goes quickest. Now that's telling, because Evdoka was one of our early pitters, and a 1:39.0 for Evdoka. So that is the value in that clean air.
Yeah, it certainly is, and getting a nice slipstream from Josh Thompson in front of you as well. That certainly helps. That BMW, it is a big boy, but that Lamborghini, it's not a small car, is it? It's quite a wide stance to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, the BMW has got the most enormous rear wing that you can kind of hide under, so you could the Lamborghini is more kind of short and squat and wide, and it's more like a pit bull. What animal would the BMW be? Well, I don't know, a giraffe possibly. The rear wing is certainly like a giraffe, but yeah, I always think the Lamborghini really corners very, very flat. It's very, very nice through the medium and high speed corners, and very much a popular car at the moment. Of course, it does come and go. The cars themselves don't necessarily change in spec, but the way that they're balanced with one another does, and just how that can come and go from manufacturer to manufacturer. It's impossible to get it absolutely spot on. Otherwise, well, what would be the point in having different cars at all?
Yeah, exactly. You might as well just have a spec series at that point. But look, McEwen. Okay, we've started getting the pit stops happening here as Ashley Finch moves up to 6th place now. Luke McEwen up to 14th right now, up 35 positions. I mean, he's finding the empty space. Adam Watson right behind him up 29. Jack Sedgwick up 30. Lockie Brown as well. Lockie Brown up 30 positions as well. David Nichols up 27 positions. So there's some big movers out there. Okay, we do have the pit stops to be fully served here in this race. Oh, Crone getting a little bit close to the back of Adam State. Martin de Jong is sniffing an opportunity for 3rd place. Adam State right now is thinking, I want to win here.
That he does, yes, and I don't think this will be doing, mind you, this will not be doing Adam State's ego any good. I would imagine as a pro driver, an AM class driver, Jack Belton, is driving a superb race as well. Is here on merit for the Audi Sport Slovakia team. And State's maybe just biding his time here, maybe happy with the pace. They're in the mid 1 minute 40s right now. However, when you compare that to McFarlane, Thompson, 39.0 is going on there. So that a train of early pitters of Thompson, McFarlane, Evdoka, they're all lapping much quicker, and they're lapping quicker than McEwen, who was in the 40s last time by. He has evened it out 139.3 last time by, but it's still not as quick as his rivals who are on a different strategy.
It's going to be intriguing to see how this all pans out here towards the end of the race. We've got that intriguing battle then with the Team Mad car, the Boosted car. There's a Century Sim Esports car there as well. That's Woodhouse, Harrod and Brendan Stacey. That's Pete Harrod, Season 7 champion here in this series. Racing for a new team. So no longer with the Pure Sims outfit, now gone over to Century Sim Sport and Century Sim Esports, should I say. And I tell you what, Pure Sims have lost out on a talent there, haven't they? Because, you know, former champion, quick driver, but it's Century Sim Racing's gain, really, isn't it?
It definitely is. It's a great scoop for Century Sim Racing, I would say. Now, interestingly, it's not been... now, Leandro Andaruti, he's gone for an early pit stop as well. He's down in 37th at the moment, but his pit service is done. He is a little bit further behind, quite a lot further behind, in fact, than McFarlane and Thompson, so not necessarily been as good a run for Andaruti, as we see that 1:39.0 for Luke McEwen. So now he's into a bit of clean air, and he's got 3 seconds of clean air in front of him, as Brian Crone, we saw there, Paul, in for his pit stop.
Yeah, Crone. Also Tony Draper as well. As Adam State, he's wanting to lead this motor race down the inside. If you're Jack Belton, well, he's not going to give this one up without a fight. He's up on the curb. Oh, careful now. Getting really close between the two of them. Side-to-side contact. States across the grass. And contact between the both of them. And that is going to be Jack Belton in the wall. And Adam State carries on. Oh, my goodness. Jack. That is just unbelievable look for Jack Belton. He's taken a tour back to the pits, and that allows Adam Volkovich now up to the head of your field.
Well. Both drivers playing a part in that incident and both taking themselves out of contention for a strong result. I mean, Jack Belton definitely coming off worse there, getting ploughed into the wall, but not perfect either for Adam State. Let's try and pick the bones out of this one and see what happened here. So State gets the move done through Stowe. Belton gets quite aggressive there, and I don't know. It just...
It's hard racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very... No.
And that's not the best rejoin.
No. Broadside across the circuit at a full commitment corner.
And
no.
He'd set off. Why did he then hit the brakes when a car was coming around? Just keep going and get yourself back off track. Is what I'd say.
Don't go broadside across the circuit until it's safe. That's the gold rule, isn't it? Oh dear. 0-0 for Jack Belton.
Three more onto pits. Ron Kaiser, Chris Van Den Ness and Bradley Hulls now onto pit road as well. So we've got the top 18 owers a pit stop in this race here. At the moment, Adam Volkovich leading this one ahead of Martin de Jong. The man who actually started on the front row of the grid finds himself in second place. Ashley Finch, I said he was in with a good shout to this one as well. He's up there in third right now for the Pure Sim SimLab outfit. Adam State, who was involved in that incident, now down to fourth place. Here's Jack Sedgwick trying to make his way past. That's Adam Watson, and he does so. Ferrari versus Porsche, and the Ferrari does it this time, but Adam Watson, he'll be just trying to hang on now. And for the time being, stays behind. So Sedgwick up to 10th place. Well done, Watson, down to 11th. In all of this, as now Osborne, Jack Osborne and Chris Wood both head to pit road. The latest of the pit stops. We're going to Simon Field catching the grass there and finding out that the grass is slippy.
Yeah, and does a good job to try and keep it out of the way of those cars coming by. But it was one of the Evo SR Ferraris there that was the very, very unfortunate party to find Jack Belton's Audi spread across the circuit. I think it was Mark Hutchison, looking at the time screen, but I don't know for sure. And if so, Mark's had a really tough night. He got clipped in race one, had a difficult race one, and well, that is just rotten fortune. You cannot account for that. A car basically pulling right across broadside across the circuit is Sedgwick using all the track and more, mowing the lawn.
It's rather expensive lawnmower, is that, isn't it? Several $100,000 worth of Ferrari just going across the lawn. there. And Simon Field will say, well, hang on a second, that grass is slippy. But here's Adam Watson then, one of our drivers who's given us a look at their setup here. And certainly Adam doing a sterling job, 9th place at the moment, but does owe us a pit stop in all of this. 15 minutes remaining in this race here, and we've still got the top 14 to pit.
That we do. And where does Luke McEwen stand in all of this? He's 8.2 seconds off our leader, and at the moment his last lap for 1:39.0, so he's going very, very quick indeed. Looking a little bit further back on the order, looking at what his rivals are doing. Where are you?
McFarlane and Thompson 20th and 21st places, so they're working their way up. 39.4 and the 39.1.
Yeah, so they're about 2 or 3 tenths behind, so it's very closely matched now. But McEwen now getting his share of clean air, so he's gone for his gamble is that basically the sea will part and he'll pit very, very late and let everyone pit in front of him.
Now the problem for McFarlane and Thompson is that Kittleman in front of them has pitted. Tony Draper, Chris Wood, Brian Crone and Rhys Saunders have all pitted as well. So they've got to make some overtakes here if they want to have any chance of challenging for the win here. Ross McFarlane going to the left. Oh, Josh, you're asking a lot there. Going to the right. Oh, that's Schumacher and Hakkinen with Ricardo Zonta there at Spa from 2000, if I've ever seen it. And Thompson uses that as an opportunity to get ahead of Ross McFarlane.
Top marks there to Kevin Kittleman in the Lamborghini, because he positioned his car perfectly to allow safe passage there. He really did need to be cooperative, because Josh, like you said, Paul, Josh Thompson was asking a lot there, but that risk and reward ratio, well, the risk has paid off for Thompson, because look at McFarlane, he's still stuck behind Kittleman. He's going to have to be, and Kittleman's in no mood to let him go. Why would he? Because this is absolutely for position. So Kittleman's well within his rights, but look at this, Thompson there just at the back of the BMW. He's going to put 2 wheels almost onto the grass as well. Kittleman moves across, and I think that maybe spooks McFarlane slightly, Paul, puts him offline a bit.
Oh, I think it actually spooked Kittleman slightly to run a little bit wider, and it didn't. And McFarlane's still stuck behind Kittleman, and as you pointed out, this is genuinely for position through Copse Corner. McFarlane, well, he makes that one count. There's a car coming out of pit road as well. That's John Roberts. That's John Roberts, and that's for position as well. So this is the problem when you have that early pit stop in this race. As more and more cars come onto pit road, those cars have had that bit of clean air up at the front. They're going to come out in front of you, and you've got to make those moves.
Yes, you do, and 141.6 for McFarlane last time by, so that's a second and a bit off, at least, off what he should be.
Luke McEwen must have had a little bit of traffic or something, because he was a 40.8 last
that's
lap.
Traffic. Oh yeah, that is definitely. So, oh wow, this is just an intriguing race, and this is why we love this form of motorsport. It doesn't necessarily have to be an on-track duel. We've no doubt we could get one as we head to the flag, but right now we're looking at the stopwatch, we're looking at the timing screen to see where McEwen is into pit lane, as is Jack Sedgwick as well, with just 11 minutes on the clock.
Adam State as well. Adam Volkovich, by the way, who was the race leader, he's on pit road as well. This is the crucial stop. Sedgwick, Watson, we've got Matt Woodhouse, Tim Perry as well, all on pit road. There goes Adam State. Here's Josh Thompson. He's not close enough. He is not close enough to get the jump on Luke McEwen. So McEwen out of pit road. 9th place, legitimately 9th place with a few cars still to pit. That's an incredible performance from the Logitech GL2Z Sports driver that we're seeing here today. Truly a gifted and special performance, although I think if you're Leandro Anderuti, you might have other thoughts about it after race 1.
Well, yes, it's hard to, we need to remind ourselves of that, and Anderuti's had a really difficult second race. He's down in 24th position, so not only did he lose a chance at the win in race 1, finished in, I think, 8th place.
Yeah.
He also is not going to score a great deal of points here. So Andretti's had flashes of, I mean, pace-wise, he's right up there. He's right in the hunt. And Daytona didn't quite work out for him, and not really here at Silverstone either. However, I would think, I mean, that it's not for us to comment really, Paul, but it certainly wasn't Andretti's fault, the incident. So if McEwen is given a penalty, he could be starting from the back at the next race, and that will change things.
As now Ashley Finch and De Jong come onto pit road, as does Pete Harrod. So I think the final pit stops are happening now. I should expect to see Brendan Stacey on pit road as well. We do. Keep up to date with live timing. Oh, Ross McFarlane! McFarlane, your season 10 champion, is around. He tried to make a move at Brooklands, and the door was well and truly slammed in his face.
Well, a rude awakening to the reverse grid racing for 2022 in the World GT Championship. Let's get another look then as well. There's Thompson at the front, and
it's always closing, isn't it?
Yeah, there was never a gap there, was there? Certainly not enough of a gap. And McFarlane, just, that's quite uncharacteristic of Ross McFarlane. We very rarely see him kind of be impatient, but that, you have to say, Paul, that was a little bit heading towards the impatient side.
Well, we've had our planned pit stops out there on track, so we can give you a little bit of a rundown with 8.5 minutes remaining here in race number 2 of the evening here in the World GT Championship. It is Adam Volkovich who leads this race. He is 1.7 seconds ahead of Rhys Saunders, as we just saw Michael Evdoka make a move there. Ashley Finch is in 3rd place right now for the Pure Sims outfit, Pure Sims SimLab outfit. Your top Pro-Am driver, Brian Krohn, in 5th place ahead of Martin de Jong in 6th. And then your next Pro-Am is Chris Wood in 10th place. Your top Am driver, Tony Draper, up there in 12th place right now, with John Roberts in 2nd place and Am in 14th. And then your next Am driver, looking down the order, I believe is Jack Osborne in 27th place. So a big gap for Draper and Roberts to gain positions, as Tim Perry, we've had something happen to Tim Perry, and I think Brendan Stacey is involved in that one as well. Careful with the rejoin there. There's not a lot of room there, is there, Peter?
No, that's true. It is a difficult position to be in. You just have to watch. Most of the drivers will have what's called a relative screen, which will tell them the gap to the car in front and the car behind, and gives you an impression. Oh, now who's that in the pink being boosted? Stacey. So he was involved as well. And it's big commitment corner there coming through bridge, and there's a different. Oh dear, yeah, it was Tim Perry that instigated the contact, you have to say. Oh, well. It's
just the slightest of contact, but that corner, you're on the limit, as McEwen now, he's only gained 44 places in this race so far, as Luke. Absolutely incredible drive from the Logitech GLTC Sports driver up to 5th place. 6 minutes, 40 seconds remaining, and he is 6 seconds off of the race leader. It's asking a bit much, isn't it? A second a lap, a second a minute even.
I certainly don't think mind you, I don't think a podium's out the question. He's lapping quite a bit quicker than Adam State in front. A little bit quicker than Saunders, about 0.7 of a second quicker than Saunders in 2nd place. Haven't quite got an accurate representation of where Ashley Finch is right now, but yeah, it's not out with the relative possibility, and we continue to be amazed by the arrival of Luke McEwen here in 2022 for the World GT Championship. Now, McEwen, like we say, as soon as there's that opportunity, it is almost kind of Ash Sutton-esque, isn't it, Paul, where as soon as there's that gap, he will go for it, and he will go for it 100% commitment.
And he's gone for it
there
now.
It goes.
And through one little mistake from Adam State, running wide at Copse, it's not as forgiving as the more modern version of Silverstone, and that means that State drops down a place, and McEwen now up 45 places on this race. But he does have now, what's that? It's about 3.5 seconds between him and Ashley Finch, and Finch isn't a slouch by any means. His last lap was a 39.5, and Finch is battling with Reece Saunders. Adam Volkovich is actually pulling away slightly at the front of your field. Volkovich could be looking at a race win after a tumultuous race number 1.
Yeah, brilliant recovery from Volkovich, and let's see what McEwen can do here, because if Saunders and Finch are battling, and of course they will, there's a second place finish on offer, and that, of course, if they start battling in these last couple of laps, I think it'll be 3 to go at the flag, I would think. No, 3.
No, 3, yeah.
3. So, you know, that then, and if when you see McEwen plus 3 with got 3 laps to go, you go, haven't got much of a margin to work with here. So right on board with Martin de Jong, who did well to avoid the early carnage, and he's done well to continue on and grab, be in a good position to grab a good chunk of points. He's second in Pro-Am right now. The Pro-Am leader is the next car, that red and black Porsche of Brian Crone.
Certainly is, and it's tremendous to see Crone up there, but he's battling away with Martin de Jong, don't forget, 4th position in class, as they come out of Chapel Corner. And we've got a car facing the wrong way, and that's on the exit of Copse Corner. It was Kittleman, and he decided the safest course of action is taking a tour back to pit road. And given that that's Copse Corner, one of the fastest corners on the track, I don't blame him for just thinking, do you know what, I'm out of here. And there we go. We said it was unforgiving around there. Oh, and that's why he went and slammed into the tyre wall.
Yeah, and just took a little bit too much on the exit there of Copse, just trying to carry as much speed on the run down towards Maggots and Beckett's, and yeah, onto the grass, and there's no grip on the grass at all, and the car just snapped on him. Nothing that Kevin Kittleman could do to save it. So 3 minutes to go here in the second race, a full reverse grid race here in the World GT Championship, as Josh Thompson trying to make his way forward around the outside of Chris Wood's Team Mad Porsche. Can he seal the deal before Luffield? Looks like he can. Yeah, there it goes. Can Wood get the cut back? No, not quite. Josh Thompson can get that BMW turned very well. Top 10 at the moment for Thompson. Jack Sedgwick 2 positions ahead, but as terms of our championship leader coming into this round, Luke McEwen looking very strong, even if he finishes where he is.
And Chris Wood, of course, in that immortal lime green Aston Martin inspired livery with that lime green on there. As they go through, another one with that lime green on his car is Paul Webster as well. The reason why I bring up lime green so much here is the fact that that Michael Blake, the man behind Immortal, seems to think that it's yellow. Lime, if you think of a lime, it's green, isn't it?
I always remember walking down the street in Jerez de la Frontera, and there was trees, of course, not far from Seville, of course, where all the very, very nice oranges come from, and there were a sort of mysterious fruit hanging from these trees. There were lots of them, and they looked like oranges, but they were green. And I think it was just they were just ripening, and there was a huge argument that broke out whether they were limes or whether they were oranges. I was like, well, why don't we open one and find out?
Well, we are heading in towards the final lap of the race, and this has certainly been a thrills and spills evening for you here in the World GT Championship, brought to you by 3M and Coach Dave Academy. And here's Mr. 3M himself, Jonathan Walker, battling away in 19th place with Paul Webster behind him. And Webster trying to make his way past, but not able to do so far. 3M literally looking very, very good on that car. But we're on the start of the final lap here, Peter. Adam Volkovich, front of your field. I said he could possibly look at a race win here. He's certainly doing everything that he can to get himself a win.
Yeah, super stuff, bouncing back after that difficult opening race as well. So it's looking like it's going to be a win for Audi for the first time here in 2022 in the World GT Championship. So Audi returns to the winner's circle. And of course, we saw him at the Lamborghini of Luke McEwen win in the endurance round last week. And again, so it's all been the mid-engine cars so far, BMW and indeed Porsche and Ferrari yet to get their first win here.
Well, Volkovic, certainly, he just needs to keep it on the grey stuff here, through Abbey, in towards Bridge for the final time. You got that battle for second place ongoing, Saunders and Finch. They need to be careful not to trip over each other, or they could gift Luke McEwen a podium spot here. But through Brooklands into Luffield for the final time, Volkovic, he can sense himself a victory here. The German simracing.de by ACV driver through the final corner at Woodcote takes his debut victory here in the World GT Championship. What a win for the driver there of Adam Volkovic. Rhys Saunders and Ashley Finch round out your top three. Luke McEwen just missing out on a podium, 45 positions gained up into fourth place. Brian Krohn, the leading Pro-Am across the line ahead of Matt de Jong. And your top am was Tony Draper in 13th, as we see the final few battles coming across the line. And here's a battle of 5 cars. Lockie Brown, Mark Hutchinson, Brennan Stacey, Simon Field and Jeroen Kaiser all together out there. Kaiser's trying to make his way past, but the 2 Boosted cars are blocking his way through and across the line. Who was it at the line? I think it was just Kaiser by a nose. And I think he did it.
Well, that was Kaiser by a cigarette paper there. That was incredible. That's Silverstone though. That final corner is just wonderful.
I can actually confirm Brennan Stacey by 2 1,000ths of a second over Kaiser.
Okay, maybe 2 cigarette papers.
But full reverse grid, as full reverse grid races go, that was a tremendously entertaining race. Here's how close it was at the line. It's this next line coming up now. Oh, that was close.
Very, very close. And yeah, great effort from Jeroen Kaiser to try and square it up on the exit of the corner and try and get a run, and nearly got it. A couple more meters and he'd have got it. But what a great strategical race as well. Luke McEwen deciding to go deep into the race and take a short splash at the end, whereas Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane deciding to do kind of the complete opposite.
Well, here we go then with the unofficial results here from race number 2 of the evening here in the World GT Championship, powered by 3M and Coach Dave Academy. It is Adam Volkovic for GermanSimRacing.de by ACV. He wins this one by 1.8 seconds over Rhys Saunders for Team Year 1. Ashley Finch, 3rd place for the Pure Sim Lab outfit. Then Luke McEwen, as I say, 45 positions gained. The Logitech GLTC Sports outfit in 4th place. Adam State for Satellite Racing 5th, ahead of Jack Sedgwick in the Was Cooking by 3M. Brian Krohn, the Indy Autosport Red Car, your top Pro-Am driver in the field here today in 7th place, ahead of Adam Watson for Team Mad. Martin de Jong for Parabellum Racing Team. He started on the front row, ends up in 9th. Got himself a big ton of points there. And Josh Thompson for the Was Cooking by 3M car, round out your top 10. Chris Wood and Michael Evdoka 11th and 12th, ahead of your top AM driver Tony Draper for Century Sim Esports, only just 0.6 of a second ahead of John Roberts for Boosted Motorsport in 14th place. Matt Woodhouse, Ross McFarlane getting involved in that instant at Brooklands when he tried to make the move down the inside. Didn't quite work out for him. Down in 16th in the end ahead of Pete Harrod. Leandro Andaruti, not the best of recoveries for him in 18th ahead of Paul Webster and Jonathan Walker. Mike Horder then finishes in 21st ahead of James Crouch, with Jack Osborne, Eric Haag. Lee Berridge, our leading AM from race 1, didn't have the best of race 2s here, finishes in 25th, with Craig Jones 26th. Lockie Brown ahead of Mark Hutchinson, Simon Field and Brendan Stacey. Stacey, of course, as we said, beat Jeroen Kaiser by a couple of 1,000ths of a second. And then Adam Hedgecock rounds out in 32nd. Marvin Lesmorman, not a race for him to remember, in 33rd, and of Chris Van Der Ness and Tim Perry. Christian Malsharek looked to have a really good turn of pace in race 1, couldn't quite work his way through the field in race number 2. David Michael Nichols for Satellite Racing in 37th, ahead of Felix Elsner. Michael Blake and Toby Ward in 40th place. Ben Gregory, he'll be very disappointed with that result there. Jack Belton, he led for quite a while, then an issue into Club Corner and contact with Adam State saw him up and over in the barriers. Andy Archer ahead of James Whitehouse with Lars van Rijn. Alex Neller, one lap down. It's what could have been after starting up on the second row of the grid in race number 1. Christian Rose ahead of Simon Neller, and then drivers 2 laps down or more. Kevin Kittleman, Bradley Hulls. And the final 3 drivers, Robert Lundgren, Nathan Healy, and Nick Salaputis. Well, and Peter, 2 enthralling races. We've got to get our breath here because, my goodness, it was non-stop action, as always, here in the World GT Championship.
That it was, yeah. It was just so intriguing as well. We had 2 completely different races, same length, of course. Race 1 was, a more pure, really neat and tidy. Lots of very fast lap times from the leading trio, and McEwen came out on top there. With a full reverse grid for race 2, as we thought, it would open up so many strategical possibilities. That's what we saw play out, and it seemed that the strategy that McEwen chose to stay late and basically let the C part in front of him, it worked out, but who knows what was the better one. It seemed to work better for McEwen, but yeah, fantastic motorsport there to watch that.
It was tremendous stuff. We have got a few drivers onto the interview, and we haven't got long, so we've got to try and get through these as quickly as possible. And I suppose, Peter, why don't you take it away with the man who fought hard in race number 1, couldn't quite make it through in race number 2, Josh Thompson.
Josh, welcome to the RaceSpotTV commentary box. A bit of nostalgia today, old school Silverstone. How did you find that?
One of the most horrible experiences of my life driving that car around here, not gonna lie. Normally I enjoy this track. Last time I drove it was quite successful in GTE with Sports Car Open a few years ago, but yeah, tonight wasn't a very pleasant experience. That's all I can say about it.
Now, forgive me for asking, what do you think the kind of core reason for that is, why it was a difficult night at the office?
It was more due to probably people how I hate me saying it, and just the car more than anything. The track itself wasn't bad. It's a fun little combo, like actual track, but the car was not ideal tonight, to be honest. Like, I struggled for raw pace. You probably saw that in race 1. I had to use a bit of off-track limits to, make amends for lack of pace in some aspects. But yeah, just the car was super lazy on corner exit. Every time I got close to Luke or Ross, they'd pull 3 temps off the final corner alone. And all race long, just struggling with traction. So it was pretty tough, especially race 2, the track temp rising. It wasn't good at all. But besides that, it's where it is. Just got to take on the chin, really.
Well, I mean, it's still a top 10 after a full reverse grid. It's still a really strong haul of points. Tell us a bit about race 2, Josh, because there was lots of different ways to work the strategy. I mean, talk us through the decision process for what you decided to do in terms of when to pit.
Well, my race was pretty much decided on lap 1. I got turned around by a GSR car at the end of the first lap in the final corner. So I dropped basically like 10 seconds off the back of the lead of the entire group. So I knew I had to catch that train up, and then literally the second we could put enough fuel in to get to the end, I was always going to box. I pulled it off 2 or 3 times last season against like Denez and Kashube, and it caught me out by surprise. So I knew I could get that to work. So obviously pulled that off, but it was just damage limitation after that, really. Luke had 2 or 3 temps in his pocket, no matter what we did. So fair play to him, and fair play to everyone in the Lambo and the Audi. But for us, it was just damage limitation after the pit stops, just bringing home the points.
Well, if this is a difficult night, that's looking good for a championship charge, Josh. Lots of good points on the board. Well done on getting through it tonight, and looking forward to seeing you out there next week.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
There we go. That is Josh Thompson, and our second place driver from the second race is Rhys Saunders. Rhys, welcome to the commentary booth, and well, that was an eventful round of the championship for you here today. If we have a copy of it. Ah, there we go. I think we've got him now. Reese, do you have a copy? I don't think we do, so I'm afraid we're going to have to move on from Reese then, and instead what we'll do is have a word with Jack Belton, who did lead part of that second race. Jack, first of all, do you have a copy of us?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Great to speak to you. New to the championship, of course, this season. Found yourself at the front of the second race there. Just talk through the evening for us.
Well, got caught up in the carnage in race 1 and ended up just crawling over the line, running out of fuel, going through Luffield, and that ended up being quite a good place to be, and stuck to the front few, the start of the second race, and then a little incident in Maggots and Beckett, snuck through there, ended up in second place, then managed to put the pressure on and take the lead, and was having a really good fight there with Adam. I think it was Adam. Guy that was much quicker than me, so it was a bit strange to be up there with him, but yeah, really fun. And then a really good move by him, and I kind of left it in a bit too hard, I think, and then did a really silly rejoin and ended up my roof.
Well, I mean, first of all, credit to you to realise your own mistake and admit that. But secondly, I will say, ever the opportunist with that move to get yourself into second place on the exit of Chapel, you're already going 3 wide in front of you. You just see the smallest of gaps and say, all right, you lot fight, I'm going through.
Yeah, I think someone made a small mistake at the front of the pack and held everyone up, and I was just far enough back that I could take advantage of it. But yeah, it was a nice move. Yeah, I was happy with that.
Well, Jack, we'll let you get off because we are running out of time here, I'm afraid. But I would say congratulations, but unfortunately it was a 42nd for you in the end in that one.
Yeah, consistency, finishing in the 40th every race so far.
Maybe next week.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So yeah, that's Jack Belton then, and yeah, we are running out of time here, so we've got quickly time to look through our schedule and where we head to next week, because Peter, it's going to be the first of our sprint races, and we head on over across the Atlantic to Interlagos, the home country of our very own producer Hugo Luis. We're heading to Brazil.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Sprint racing at Interlagos, where it's such a technical circuit on the infield there as well, and making moves is going to be really, really important. Of course, we had a brilliant start to the previous season of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup at Interlagos, I seem to remember. So with our GT3 cars here in the World GT Championship, it should be a corker.
It should absolutely well be. Well, Peter, you get yourself a well-deserved rest after your busy weekend this weekend. His jet-setting lifestyle. Oh, he's going to be. I think he's going to be living in a palace soon with the jet-set lifestyle that he's leading now. But Peter, thank you so much for joining us here on commentary as always. I've been Paul Smith. Hugo Luis behind the scenes on the production here as well. Thank you very much to Coach Dave Academy and 3M for the support of the World GT Championship Season 11. That was round number 2. Next week, round number 3 at Interlagos. Make sure you join us. Same time, same place, RaceSpotTV. But from everybody here, it's goodbye.